Welcome to the next video. In this video, we will be creating a new part for the portable blender, that is the PCB board. Now, if you see this image, let me just expand this. You can see this is the PCB board. If you are aware of this PCB boards, well and good. Otherwise, you can just try to understand that this is the heart of the blender. Okay, the functionality of the blender, the electronic movement happens with the PCB board itself, because the PCB board accommodates certain switches which allow us to run the blade or turn on the motor with which the blade spins. All right, so this is a kind of the main CPU, the main heart of the entire electronic system. And PCB boards are almost they are found in each and every electronic component that has certain purpose or that runs electronically. All right, so what we can do is, firstly we can just go back to we can go back to our assembly and try to see where we can accommodate the PCB board. Now the switches are at the frontmost region, and the PCB board will have this components, the USB ports, the type C port, and the on off port. All right, now those should be accommodated over here. Okay, those should be protruding or extending out from this hole at this space. Okay, so the PCB port, if taken a cut section from front, should be placed somewhere over here. All right, otherwise if you can just see the sketch, it should be placed over here. So the PCB board should be created in which in a way that the components are placed at this side of the board. Okay, and the entire dimensions of the board should be such that it is within the volume of the enclosure what we have. All right, now I'll just try to create a PCB board now, and firstly I'll just click on new. I'll just write PCB underscore blender and press OK. Now firstly what I'll be doing is, from the front view I'll just create a simple extrude, maybe of 2 inches wide and maybe 1.5 inches or 2.5 inches in height, or maybe 1.5 by 2.5, and I'll just press OK, and I'll just keep the thickness of the PCB to be 0.025. okay, because PCB boards are pretty thin, and I'll just press OK. Now what I'll be doing is, I'll be importing, firstly I'll just save this in the working directory, and I'll be importing this in the assembly. All right, now I'll just click on assemble, and I'll just go to in session PCB blender. All right, now firstly from the bottom view I'll be aligning it. Okay, so somewhat this position. All right, I think I have to reduce the width of the PCB board. Never mind. All right, so this is how we actually work conceptually and understand what should be the sizes of the parts. It depends on the amount of volume what we have. Okay, the parts, the switches should be at this position. Now mind you, I'm not working on creating all the components because that is a different field of study. We are just assuming with a rectangular block, and we'll be creating these features to make a representative shape of the PCB board. All right, so this is fine. I'll just press OK, and I'll just change the color of PCB board to something different. I'll activate the board, and I'll just click on extrude again, edit. Now I'll just reduce the width and the height. And ensure that I have the strong dimensions. All right, now this looks good to me, and now I'll just reactivate the PCB board, and on this surface I'll be creating the USB port, the type C port. Alright, I'll just go to the references and delete the motor cover and click on solve. Select all the dimensions, press Ctrl T, press OK. So these will be the switches, the USB port, the type C port, or whatever you can think of it. I think I've not created the on off button, so I'll just recreate it with another extrude. I'll just add a reference, close it. The purpose I'm adding a reference is because it allows me to select the center point. Otherwise I have to just presume it on my own. And after selecting or creating, I'll just delete the reference, solve it, and change the dimensions to be strong. So these are coming out. All right, you know, we can make it more representative by adding certain cutouts in the I think I've not created it exactly. Nevertheless, that's fine. So what I can do is I can offset it, maybe minus 0.05 or 0.025. Press OK. Press OK. Press OK. Now that I've just offset it, I'll just delete the unwanted segments and you know, have this material removed, so it kind of represents a USB port. You can do the same thing for the type C port. Now I'll just turn on the assembly, and this is how the PCB board looks like when it is properly installed at its position. All right, now you might be wondering that can I just leave the PCB board in the air? Okay, well, we cannot. So we have to create certain features that will help us to, you know, kind of align it with respect to the y-axis. All right, for example, if I'm taking a cut section at this position, you should have certain features that hold the vertical positioning of the PCB board. All right, so what I'm planning is I'm planning to create a feature which is kind of a rib. All right, which is a kind of a rib, and you know, has features something like this. So let me just try to create a zoomed in view first, take a snip and draw. So I'll create a rib something like this, but the top portion of the rib should be something like this, something like this. So this will allow the rib to be seated in the slot, because I'll create a slot in the rib. That is what is the intention over here. Now definitely one slot is not sufficient, at least we should have two slots. So let us just try to create a rib at first, and what I'll be doing is, firstly I'll be just evaluating what's the distance between the current position of the PCB board and the base of the PCB board. So it's around 0.48. I'll just copy it. Now just remember that the rib which I'm illustrating in this snip is a part of, or is a feature of, the motor cover. All right, so I'll be just creating a plane over here, and then I'll be adding an extrude which replicates a rib. All right, select this surface, click on plane, paste it, press OK. So you have a plane at this position. Activate the Blender assembly, turn off the section, reactivate and align it. Ensure that you're selecting the plane which you have created right now and select the extrude option. Alright, now I'll be just creating a rip, something like this. Maybe, you know, I'll just start from here, maybe end it over here, and the distance of rib is 0.1, and I'll just press Ctrl T. Let me see how it looks like. So it should be on the opposite side till the next surface. Alright, I need one more rib over here, so I'll be adding another placement at the same position. Okay, so it's equidistant. Okay, the widths are same, and I'll just press OK. So this is created. Alright, now I want certain material to be on the upper side of it. Alright, so I'll just re-add another region. Alright, so that gap will be the slot. Alright, I'll just create a center line. So with the same reference points, I'll be creating two more rectangles. Just reduce it. Now activate. This is how your assembly can look like. So when we are placing the PCB board, we'll be placing it in this slot. So this will restrict the up and down movement. Alright, and the insertion of the switches in this slots will restrict the left and top and bottom position. Okay, for example, if you are viewing it in this orientation, so this motion is restricted by the switches itself. Okay, or we can add features that can allow us to restrict that movement also. Maybe we can add a rib over here. Okay, let's try to work on adding the rib. So that is a kind of learning for us. Okay, so I'll reactivate this. First of all, I'll go to the same plane. Okay, what I'm thinking is, in order to restrict the up and down movement, I'll just try to add a I need to join this boss, otherwise that will be better. Maybe something like this. Need to start from here at least. First of all, let me draw a center line from here and create a boss, something like this. This should be 0.1. all right, and sorry, this can be 0.5, half of it, and the remaining half can be mirrored on this side, and this region can be deleted, and maybe I can create a slot, something like this. Extrude it to next at the base, and I can use the same thing with variable thickness on this side. So I can just connect this in order to avoid this kind of features. All right, because in manufacturability it's required to have smoother edges. So I'll just extend this, maybe something like this, press OK. So I have additional rib over here that restricts this motion, and I need to have it over here as well. All right, so what I can do is, otherwise maybe I can push this to the bottom and convert it something similar to this, and push this one to the center of the rib, center of the PCB. Okay, so I'll just go to edit. So this was extrude number 5, I believe. Go to edit. Okay, so the center of PCB is somewhere over here, and I'll just delete this. Create a rib something like this of 0.1 dia, make it symmetric. Make this. All right, this looks fine to me. I'll adjust the top. Sketch which I have created on this. Let me delete these points. Let me add two rectangles on these references. Why is this? Okay, we have certain sketches over here. Now this is fine. Created the center one, the extreme right one, and I'll just modify this one to be the base. This was extrude number 5. I'll simply delete this, press OK. I'll just turn on extrude number 5. Looks like I have some external references sorted. I'll just go to extrude number 6, edit them, delete this. So this is how conceptual designing works. You have to, play back and forth with the designs in order to have, an optimized design. I could have excluded this because I was thinking to control it with these switches itself, but maybe adding more features can help us improve the quality and the fitment of our designs. So I'm doing that thing right now. Press OK. Now I need to create another design, something similar to this one, to restrict this motion. So I'm extruding on this plane what we have created, and firstly I'll just create a center line over here and create a a sketch of 0.1 thickness till this point is sufficient. This has to be let's try to create a rectangle over here. Change the direction and go to the next. Now I'll be turning on the Blender assembly. So placing the PCB. So when the user is taking the PCB, he should ensure that the the PCB, not the USB, I'm sorry, should be placed in this slot. Okay, so the right and the left rib with the slot restricts in this motion, and this slot restricts the up and down motion. So when we are constraining, we can do the same constraints as well. All right, so I'll just undo. All right, now let us pause the video over here and move to the next video.